Yes, look at us. Here we are. If it's live and you're watching live, because we're doing it live, if you're watching live, of course, it means it's Wednesday at noon Eastern time, which is time for the High Noon Hemp Show. You can see we're celebrating a few things today. Of course, celebrating 30 years of Hemptations. Yeah, that's right. You want more? You need more? If that's not enough, that's plenty. That's crazy. But guess what else? We're also celebrating 7 years of the High Noon Hemp Show. That's crazy. Beginning season 27 of the High Noon Hemp Show, episode 313. That's crazy. It's all crazy. It's going to be a crazy episode. If you love hemp and you want to hear about hemp and you want to talk about hemp, well, you found the right place. We're in many places, of course, the video on demand and live, of course. Facebook, that's the Hemptations Beach Facebook page. On YouTube is the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel. You can also follow at Hemptations on X or Twitter, whatever it is that you call it. I'm, of course, Stoner Jesus. You can see me do various things on the interwebs. If you search me out, he is Beach. He loves hemp, and he is from the new Hemptations location. Beach, how are things in this anniversary week in the world of Hemptations?
The alarms were going off. The world knows how big of a day today is for the show and for the store and for everything.
That's right.
And remember, folks, the FDA has not evaluated this show for safety or efficacy. Stoner, you know what today is? Huh? You know what today is?
I have a feeling what day it is, but I have a feeling also that you, Beach, are going to tell me what day it is. What day is it, Beach?
Help Day! That's right, folks.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday. It's high noon. It's the High Noon Hemp Show. It's Help Day! And it's a huge celebration. That's right, we're celebrating Monday, officially, Labor Day, the 1st, was exactly 30 years. So I am going to close the show today. My thoughts for today are going to be a synopsis of things that have happened over the last 30 years at Hemptations and or the High Noon Hemp Show. But let's not forget, let's put our peace signs on our hemp and pledge allegiance to the hemp fields of America and to the soil in which it is planted. One seed under the sun with responsibility, sustainability, and thrivability for all. That's right. That's what we've been doing for the last 30 years at Hemptations. That's what I've been doing personally for the last 35 years, actually, since my hemp journey began. And you will learn more about that later. Trust me. Definitely going to want to be a show you're going to want to hang out for. Or, if you can only watch the first part live, maybe come back. Because guess what? Like Stoner said, we're on YouTube 24/7.
That's right.
Go punch in, find the Jedi Hemp channel. And, specifically it's youtube.com/having hemptations. That will take us to our page. But you can find us on the Jedi Hemp channel in all our episodes of the High Noon Hemp Show, going back 7 years. This is a chronological memories as it goes. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and get through this. And I know everybody's excited to hear some Hemptations history and whatnot, but we still got to do the show. I'm excited. I am very excited. I was going to do it at the first part, and I thought, you know what? I'll wait to the end part. Why not? Either way, it is a thought. Something I've been thinking about for, again, 30 plus years now. So let's get this product spotlight. 4 from the store, 1 from my door. And sometimes more. The first one is the Satori Movement t-shirt. Now, the Smoking Man, this is one of my favorites. I have an old version of this, which is black, and then the Smoking Man is like orange, and there's red. It's an awesome print. So this is what they call the Smoking Man emblem. I think I have a lot. If you're a large man, if you wear large shirts and you are a man, or you're a woman and you wear large men's shirts, because we do not discriminate around here, then I know I have plenty of these for you. So come get one if you want one. And I do believe I think I might have another size or two in this particular shirt. Um, and then, of course, something that's been super popular now and whatnot. How about the Stay Cool? These are popular because they're 25 milligrams of THC,
Nice.
and it's a really good price on them for THC drinks if you have had a THC drink in Cincinnati. So again, legally extracted from industrial hemp, the exact same THC that you would get in anything but the flower from the dispensary. 100%. How about some bicycle playing cards? Huh? Bicycle makes I don't know how many different decks of cards, but you got it. They make hemp playing cards. And of course, I carry a deck of these around in my backpack everywhere that I go, just in case I need a deck of cards. I want to be the guy that supplies them and then say, "Hey, look, they're made out of hemp." And I have a couple decks of these left. They used to sell decently. Again, it's kind of one of those novelty things. But who doesn't need a deck of cards, and who doesn't want a hemp deck of cards? Either way. And then, of course, we got our big bucks of twine. So if you're looking for twine in just about most colors of the rainbow, I would say. We don't have any. I need to get some natural in, which is the more popular. But we have any color that you want. And I do believe, if I remembered, I might even have to check them. I was thinking at some time or another that they were actually, more naturally dyed, not, heavily dyed. But I can't guarantee that. I can't guarantee that. Now, this next picture I'm going to show is what got my entire hemp journey started. Okay, this was my first hemp purchase. I was 19, 20 years old, maybe. If anyone that has not heard me talk about this before can guess where I bought this, I would indeed believe that you are psychic. Because, I'll let all of you guess in your heads where you think I got this. But you may never guess right. Because I got it at Kings Island Amusement Park. Okay, world famous. People travel from the world to come to Kings Island. It just happened to be in our backyard for a little bit of my time growing up, and then we moved down to Richmond. But I think it was, again, it could have even been my senior year of high school, honestly. But I was there, and I walked into the leather shop. Yes, you heard that correctly, the leather shop. And because my mom instilled this weird sense in me, I have to walk down every aisle. And so I walk down every aisle, and I have to look at everything. It's just the way my brain works. I take it all in. But I remember, I was like, I get to the back wall, and here's this section of these hemp bags, different colors. And I don't remember any other hemp products that might have been with this there. But I will never forget that, and I was like, I have to buy this little bag. I don't know why. Honestly, I honestly do not know why I had to buy this bag when I was 20 years old or so at Kings Island from the leather shop. But I did.
Yeah.
Um, and, just thinking back on it, it's like, none of it makes sense. And so, people might believe in kismet and karma and destiny and all those things. I am a firm believer in all things happen by coincidence. We set ourselves up for these coincidences, but all things happen coincidence. There's nothing pulling the strings. And again, it's just so bizarre to me And I can't even tell you, happy Wednesday. I can't even tell you once again, and again, I've always kept everything that I had. If I got rid of it, then I got rid of it because I really didn't, it wasn't something that was memorable to me. But I still have so much stuff. And I'm purging now, finally. I'm finally purging. But, this one will, I might even take this one. I might even request to be, I don't know if they throw stuff in with you when you're incinerated. If anything, I want to be, you know, uh, ashes. But if I'm actually buried in something, then it will be a hemp mycelium coffin. So it will biodegrade, and I will biodegrade, and I will go back to the earth as I am supposed to. This little bag may be with me again, and it will biodegrade. The worst thing is probably 50 years after I'm dead, all you will find is a zipper. And in fact, I know for a fact that is all you will find. um, and so, maybe I'll make sure that the zipper's taken off the bag before they chuck it in the ground with me. Hopefully, maybe Stefan will, he'll have kids and they'll want it or something. Who knows? I don't know. Just part of one of the many. I probably have 20 hemp bags now, but that was the very first and my very first hemp purchase that somehow sent me on this journey. So there you have it. 4 from the store, the 1 from my door, super hemp personal, if I must say so myself. And now,
Brings us, of course, for the 313th time to the Beach Square segment. Of course, when we talk about the many world records, hemp world records that Beach has set and currently holds, who, of course, the Guinness World Records cares nothing about. They could have not been more clear. They have no interest in what we're doing and what Beach is doing and what we got going on here. That's fine because we will continue to chronicle it every single week. You may be asking yourself, Stoner, Jesus, what does the Guinness World Records actually care about? We would talk about that every week. Of course, sometimes it's wholesome, sometimes it's heartwarming, sometimes it's stupid. Most of the time, it falls under the category of I just don't understand. Today is one of those I just don't understand. Gabriel Wall from New Zealand has become the fastest person to run 100 meters entirely over Lego.
oh my Lord.
Was 24.75 seconds, and she had to do the attempt completely barefoot. Barefoot, running over Legos, 100 meters, fastest time ever. That's what the Guinness World Records. Look, they got a camera crew there. They got a video on their Twitter. The whole 9 yards. They had people get on a plane for this to go and watch this woman run over Legos and film it so they could have it. And yet all the hemp records that Beach holds are irrelevant to them because Gabrielle is running over Legos. So congratulations, Gabrielle.
We can only hope that they're the new eco Legos that are supposed to be bio-based. And the rumor was that they were going to make them out of hemp. But I know they're not doing that yet.
Now, see, that would be something. If she was running on hemp Legos, maybe you need to do that, Beach. That's the thing that will finally crack this whole thing.
Yeah, here's what I'm not doing. I'm not running over one Lego, and I'm sure as heck not running over thousands of Legos.
We need 100 meters of hemp Legos.
Even if they are hemp, it's just not. I've stepped on enough Legos in my life to know that that's a ridiculous idea. I mean, what's she training with? Running over spikes?
Yeah, I'm assuming she had to practice that at some point and just.
No, there's no way like a tenderfoot would. There's no way. I mean, again, I guess you could do it. That's your pain threshold, I suppose. Speaking, but to do it in the fastest time ever. I feel like I would just try to do it in the fastest time ever and land flat on my face, and then I'd have a face full of Legos, not just a foot full of Legos. But
yeah, the fact that she was upright for the entire run alone is impressive. You're running fast over Legos. You got to think you're going to fall or slip or something.
Crazy.
25
but here
seconds.
we are. Now we'll know. And this is, I do feel like, again, it's got to be a record. 313 documented different hemp outfits. Now, maybe there's been some crossover, definitely crossover with, what it is. But they've all been different. I have never worn, I guarantee you this, and I've never even sat down to look at it, never worn the exact same outfit ever.
Well,
Ever.
guess
I,
what,
you know,
Rutgers? If you're watching, and I know you're not, pay attention while I ask Beach this very important question, and you learn something. It's not about people running over Legos or something dumb like that. Something that's actually important for the planet. When I ask Beach, what are you wearing, Beach?
it's true. If you're curious, hey, you're celebrating your 30th anniversary at Temptations Beach. What are you wearing? Well, now you'll know. I've kind of gone old school with everything as much as I could. Definitely that head case hat. I would venture to say that Headcase was the first, if not one of the first hat companies or hats that we sold, and that had, I know they were the first to really have like a full line of hats, different color combinations and emblems. Upside down cow, which ended up being one of their, it happened accidentally and became one of their like best selling hats. They had a light bulb with a fish in it on a hat. I have still Hemptations printed hats made by Headcase. They made us. We had shirts, which I still have as well. Maybe I'll wear a matching set. Yeah, that's what I really probably should have done was a matching set of that. My Hemptations hat that matches my Hemptations shirt. But and maybe next week. Maybe next week. And so again, the Headcase. I'd probably say that of all my hat collection as well, I probably have more Headcase. Ironically, not the upside down cow, which was our highest seller and their highest seller. But I do have just about every other Headcase probably hat that ever existed, and probably have more Headcase hats than anything else. My zip up polo is from Young Maven. Actually, Monastache. I'm sorry. I think officially. I might have to look, but I think they were still doing. And Monastache may still be their clothing line. No, Young Maven is the clothing line, and these are like thicker. These are like a decent. It's definitely a good fall polo shirt, and of course you can see the exact same color combination as my hat somehow. um, and so we have over the years once again between my Monastache and Young Maven products, again probably one of the largest inventory of the world's largest personal selection of hemp goods out there. Yes, that is one of the world records that I have set, and I'm waiting for anyone to challenge. My shorts are Dash Hemp. The pen there in my pocket, Green Springs Technology. Not old school, but probably once again the object that I have shown more on the High Noon Hemp Show than any other of my hemp possessions. All in all, I love bad briefs. My socks are, I believe, e-conscious. I have to go back and actually check. Sometimes I forget where I get stuff. And then, of course, my shoes are the Saucony Jazz, which are a part of Saucony's vegan line of shoes. So there you have it. If you're curious, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you know on this High Noon Hemp Show Wednesday. And so this brings us to one of my favorite commercials that I have actually starred in. I remember filming this. We had a great time doing this, and I will have to say, I'll mention it afterwards. Now, I did kind of tweak it a little bit for this year, edited it, and add some things, but the commercial itself is close to 10 years old, as you can tell by the references that I make. So here's a little commercial, and we'll get to the news.
Temptations under investigation for 20 years plus now.
We are asking for your help from September 1st to Labor Day. Get into any location of Hemptations and grab up as much hemp as you can for 20% off, or maybe higher. Hemptations opened on September 1st, 1995, and now terrorizes the unknowing with the largest selection of hemp goods and much, much more. Join us in the investigation. Hemptations.com. Having Hemptations under investigation for 20 years.
That's right. Stop in. Maybe you'll get to see the beach mannequin.
That's right. Well, that was what I was going to mention was, and again, this was right before all of a sudden everybody was doing the mannequin challenge thing. It wasn't. I mean, I honestly, and again, we might have to get the timing right and go back and actually see when the mannequin challenge thing was big. And I'm sure it was exactly at the same time. But I honestly didn't know anything about it. And then I made the commercial, and I kind of forgot about it. And I really didn't even think about it till the next year when I think we were going to run the commercial again, because it's pretty generic and can be run anytime. And then I was like, holy shit, I was doing the mannequin challenge before. I don't, maybe subliminally. I'm not saying. I didn't start it. I know that. But anyway, so yeah, that was it. That was a good one. I like that one because the Lorax is in there. I will have to say that was actually made by a local TV station to air on their TV station. And then when I went to try to air it on another TV station, they wouldn't let me because of the Lorax. It wasn't because of the pipes. It was because they said the Lorax might be trademark infringement. So I thought that was funny because the one station, they didn't think about it twice.
They're not afraid.
They weren't afraid. Nobody ever got sued. And if Dr. Seuss's estate would have asked me to cease and desist, I would have happily done that. It's an homage. To me, the Lorax is one of the greatest books / characters ever written / made up in the history of time.
I wonder if the cease and desist letter would have rhymed.
Oh, I can only see. Oh, I would give it a valid attempt, but maybe another day on that one too. It's true. It's true. I love my Dr. Seuss, and again, I will have to say that the Lorax very much put me on part of my path. We were very ecologically friendly where on a small farm I grew up on. We reused everything. We repurposed everything. We grew all our own fruits, vegetables. We were very definitely earth friendly. My parents were not hippies in any sense of the word. Conservative, if nothing else, honestly. But it was a very natural upbringing. But I remember as a kid, and I want to say it was in the springtime, and I don't know if it was probably around Earth Day, I would guess, that they used to run, and I always used to picture it being Easter for some reason, and that makes sense. They're close. But they used to run the Lorax. It was like a yearly thing. And I remember watching it as a kid and being impacted by it, like never forgetting the big razors coming along and just shaving the trees off. And I was like, man, that's terrible. And that's what was going on in the world in 1970. First year that Earth Day came around is when the Lorax was also released to the public. And so, they saw that coming anyway. So that I think really sent me down. And we have sold the VHS copies of the Lorax in the stores. And then I actually had some of the DVD copies of the new Lorax, which was very disappointed in when they made it. The theme was there, but the fact that they didn't use some of the most iconic lines or all of the lines from the original, because they took a 22-minute short and they made it into a full-length feature. So you would think that at some point they could have used all of the everything from the original book. But not only did they not do that, they really left out some of the most iconic lines from the original book / movie, which is also a sing along. We have a sing along version of the original that has the words on the bottom and anyway, I have multiple Lorexes. But let's get on with the news. We get on with the storytelling after the news. So here's a picture, and they were doing a contest to guess how tall the tallest hemp plant was in this field. I never did find out, but my guess it was going to be 14 feet 2 inches. And so, but those are definitely some tall hemp plants. And then I saw another post, and I don't know why I didn't capture it to show it, but there was another post of a young lady standing by her hemp plants, and they were also very, very tall. So I'm guessing that these are being grown for fiber, and so see that's the next, that's the next hemp challenge. But the record, again, which we have shown on here on the show, is I believe 24, roughly 24 foot tall. Is the standing record, not set by me, by Hemp Traders. Well, I know Hemp Traders, Lawrence had something to do with it. If it wasn't him growing it, I'd be surprised, or it was just him knowing that these tall plants were being grown for fiber, because that's what they do. That record has the challenge for that record to the world of, could you imagine a whole field of 24 foot, and they're still a whole field of 15 foot hemp plants. That's quite amazing. That's a lot of fiber. That's a lot of shiv or herd for hempcrete. It's just a lot. Okay, well now we have a bill to alter the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. And what's interesting about this is the timing of this is hilarious, because I just started reading a book called Psychotropic Herbs. And it's very much talks about the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, which actually got herbal supplements opened wide open in, say, 1994, which I did know about. Because I knew about the Herbal Supplement Act, which was obviously what they, when they amended the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, it really opened up the availability for a legitimate herbal supplement market, so to speak. All right. But this one, okay, so they're going to alter this Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act to have a chapter about hemp products. Okay, and they're going to force the FDA to regulate. So this is, I think it's good. I think it's good. I'm not 100% sure that it's good. Now, again, we've been looking for FDA regulation since day one, which they have boldly denied access to. For years said, we're not touching it. They have literally said that it will take an act of Congress, which is what this will take to pass, an act of Congress to get them to make any move on any of the cannabinoids extracted from industrial hemp. Now, I believe this sets in motion industrial hemp THC being regulated by the FDA. That's where I'm not real sure what's going to happen. CBD, CBN, CBG, those are all easy for the FDA. But to make the FDA regulate THC means that the FDA is going to have to prove whether THC is safe or not. That's a sticky wicket, as they say, and I don't even know what sticky wicket means. But I do know it's a sticky wicket. or one of those catch 22s, because how is that going to work? So, that's, again, it's going to set up a whole new, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see once this passes. And I do think this is going to pass because, once again, it's not trying to ban anything. Um, Now, it is trying to set limits, and of course, packaging. No packaging for anyone that's attractive to anyone under 21. Florida has made their point. The federal government looks forward to going and taking millions of packages of CBD off the counter, if this passes somehow. Again, brown bag it. I will brown if this passes. I will personally be brown bagging all of our uh, industrial hemp ingestibles. If it's ingestible, um, vape cart, whatever, gummies, all of it. Because I don't, we got purple packaging, and I don't know, maybe that's attractive to kids. I don't know.
Barney.
And it would also, this is kind of the other interesting thing, okay, is it will make it illegal to add any of those things to alcohol, caffeine, or add with whatever, nicotine, or any other substance that may interact adversely. How's that for vague? Um, so that's going to totally start messing up things for the alcohol industry that is just now starting to be up for the idea of industrial hemp THC being in their drinks. There's a lot of non-alcoholic THC drinks, but that is going to move in, and there's two reasons why that's going to move in, because the alcohol industry is losing money to the THC drink industry. And so the first thing they're going to do is come up with now, this is, God, I hate to give them any good ideas because they're already freaking rich and they're taking over the world. But a non-alcoholic THC beer. All right. We see all the spirits from a slow gin fizz to margaritas, non-alcoholic THC. And so that's, really where they want to go. And so, I don't know if they really do want to put the THC with the alcohol, but they would love to if they could, because the consumer would buy that. So we'll see where that goes. But no caffeinated THC drinks anymore if this passes. And with nicotine, I don't add anything to nicotine. Don't do anything with nicotine. That's just my personal advice. And so there you go. Arizona is getting sued for their drink ban. And again, very common. You cannot just go, and I believe I was just talking about this on the last show. You cannot just go and make one form of something illegal if it's legal in other forms. That's the quick legal summary there. And so, just so you know, if industrial hemp THC is legal in the state of Arizona, then you can't say industrial hemp THC drinks are illegal in Arizona. That's and these almost every time get turned over. The ban gets turned over. Judge eventually says, "No, you cannot do that." And all you really have to do is argue anti-consumerism laws, because that is the defense that I believe most of these states has been used against them, and has been quite successful. So Texas, boy, they really freaking drove one in on this one. They banned all vapes. So no THC, no CBD, no nicotine vapes. All right, from what I understand. And again, this was all a way to attack the THC, industrial hemp THC industry in Texas. This was a big shot at them. Now, I will have to say that this was a smart move that they included nicotine, or they basically said all vapes.
Yeah.
And I don't know when this goes into account, but I'm pretty sure all vapes. And this is smart because you know, they can at least say it's a safety issue. It's not about being anti THC or anti CBD or anti nicotine. It's all about being anti vape as a transition for anything. And, they're going to legitimately argue that they're not healthy. Therefore, sending people back to cigarettes. Yeah, that's the healthy option to no vapes, is make me go back to buying cigarettes. Um, what they've really done, what they've really done, is they've made a shit ton of money for other states that will ship all of these things to anyone in Texas. Okay, it is not illegal. If Texas made vapes illegal, okay, it's still not illegal for you to ship a vape into Texas to someone. It may be illegal for them to possess it. I don't know. Is it the sale of vapes or is it the possession of vapes? Because here's the thing, they are in no way going to make the possession of vapes illegal in the state of Texas. They can make the sale of vapes illegal, but there is no way they're going to make the possession of vapes illegal. And if they do, there's I just can't see how they can do it. I just don't see. So once again, and again, that won't keep people from ordering them and getting them shipped to their door. Even if it is possession, then guess what? They have to go back to hiding those. But it's a lot easier to hide the smell of a vape than it is the smell of a flower, the flower. And so once again, now they're just basically, any state. We could do it. I should have our vapes and stuff listed somehow, some way. Because I have no issue, because crossing state lines with those objects is not illegal. They can't hold me accountable. Only the federal government can hold me accountable for crossing state lines with illegal products. And that is not an illegal product in the eyes of the federal government. So again, Texas, all you're doing is just taking the money out of the retail shops for all these things, and the nicotine specifically. It might have behooved me, a year or two ago to actually start selling nicotine vapes again, because that's what everybody freaking wants. Honestly, that's what everybody wants, is a nicotine vape. And I'm not going to do that, but the nicotine vape people are making plenty of money. And again, I cannot see how that would be any different in Texas than it is in Ohio. And so, again, it's just everybody's going to go .com, Google. I bet the Google search for vape is going to increase. It's going to be as larger than life in Texas, just like everything else in Texas. It's just whatever. They are in no way going to prevent anyone from getting their hands on any of these vapes from somewhere else, some other state. So good job, Texas. Um, Let's see. Washington State ban that caused hundreds of vape shops to shut down, and I don't know. I didn't really look into what this was, but basically the article was about the fact that now it has created a black market for these in gas stations. Which I have to laugh at because, again, half the states want to ban selling these in gas stations. Okay, because they argue it's shady as hell, so to speak. And I do not argue that. I think everybody, if I can sell them, anybody in the state of Ohio should be able to sell them. I don't. It just seems silly. Okay, but the fact that they're closed, had to close a bunch of vape shops for whatever this law was. Okay, where that's what they do and can be held a lot more responsible, I'm sure, possibly than the local gas station. Now that's not an option, and so now you got to be like, can I get a cherry flavored non nicotine vape? Wink, wink. you know, and I just it's funny how these things come out, and they don't have any clue. Again, this is the cluelessness of the government and these places to do this. It's like they really think they're going to stop people from getting these products. Prohibition does not work. The only thing that works is regulating and controlling, or just regulating. Just regulating. Everything should be legal. I'm not saying that the degree of regulation should be, over the counter. I'm saying that, you decide how much of a risk it is to personal health, and then you regulate it on that scope. I would think that it would be much safer to go to the pharmacy and get my cocaine than it would be to go to the back alley and get my cocaine. Heroin, specifically with the fentanyl issue. I mean, it is ridiculous to me that we don't figure out how to legalize it and dose correctly. I mean, again, if someone wants to spend their Friday night doing heroin, that's fine. If they're still existing and going to work and doing their thing, that's it. All right? If you can't supply all that, then you need to get help for your heroin addiction, or if it's causing you detriment, just like alcohol or any other drug. There are plenty of people that do drugs um, consciously and exist in society in no ill way. But you put all those people at risk when you make them go to a black market. It's just silly. All right. So I've been talking about the maze in Minnesota, which I will get to more on in a minute. But I did find some pictures of some old mazes. These are from 2023. And so this first one, this is in Pennsylvania. This was done in Pennsylvania. Now, I don't know if they did one last year. I didn't see any, which is interesting. I found 3 pictures of hemp mazes from 2023, but from none from uh, 2024. So anyway, I'm not sure what that was. The next one here is the Minnesota 2023 hemp maze. And I know I've seen some others today. I can't believe I couldn't find some pictures of some of the others that were just really intricate. So I'm gonna keep up the searches on that. And then this last one was, and I don't have any idea where this was, Woodbridge Farms hemp maze. Um, and so I think this is going to be possibly something that actually continues to grow in somewhat popularity across the country. The more and more hemp that we're growing, for that matter, we'll see. Obviously you got to cut this out, which means you got to come along with some, unless you plant so that it grows up in the maze, then you still have to go and harvest everything that you're cutting out, and that would be, I mean, that could be labor intensive to do like that without, machinery. I couldn't imagine walking through the field with loppers, and that would be, you could do it, but walking out an entire maize field, cutting it out with loppers would be
Yeah.
still pretty rough on you, honestly, because hemp stalks are super strong. But um, now, I don't know if I had the. I think I no. I think the. I do have the information about this year's hemp maze, which we'll post during the events, and so stay tuned for that. But I do have this year's information, which is super cool because they've added something to it that is super cool. But you're going to have to wait to find out what that is. Um, Well, I reported on the Wisconsin Battery Company when they were very young or just getting started, and again, the proposal was they were going to take over an old battery plant and reconfigure it into a hemp battery making plant. Well, now they are AWOL. Um, they have pretty much disappeared apparently in the last 6 months to anyone that may be affiliated. They were supposed to hire 200. They were supposed to, from my memory of reporting this over a year or so ago, they were supposed to actually rehire some of the employees from the battery plant factory that had closed. And so apparently none of that's happening, and it's too bad because hemp batteries, once again, maybe a niche market, but from everything I know, batteries are one of the most what do I want to say, reliable long-term business ideas. Okay, everything we do is now related around batteries. Everything we have done for the last 30, 40, 50 years. Let's say 50 years, because when we moved to Richmond, Kentucky, because my stepdad became the general manager at Exide Battery Plant. And I know a lot about batteries, and that was the one thing he told me. He said it's an endless technology. It's an endless technology. And he was spot on because it's become even a larger industry than it was then. Now with electric vehicles and solar panel rechargeable batteries and all these things, and so it breaks my heart that these guys didn't get this up and running because again, batteries are essential at this point to human existence, and to make a more environmentally friendly battery is also essential now to human existence. Um, Alkaline batteries are not bad. The double A's and triple A's, they're not really that bad. Probably some of the encasing and some of the things inside, maybe just a little bit, environmentally wise. But a lot of batteries, obviously, are and that's why they take them back because I'm pretty sure that hopefully they basically recycle all of that. Like none of the batteries. I'm pretty sure that's one of the reasons why they encourage you to take them back because there's still stuff in there that they can do car batteries or whatever. Obviously, is what I'm talking about there. Because hopefully that stuff is reused properly. So it's fine. I've been talking about the leaves since the start of the show, probably 7 years ago, and how again the most underused part of the plant. A new study has found, research has found that cannabis leaves contain phenolic compounds. Okay, 25 are new to science, 25 are new to science. Okay. And 16 have been identified as flavoalkaloids. And again, don't know what that means. Don't know what that is. But it seems kind of interesting. Again, I've said it a lot. How the leaves are the one thing we need to find a good proper use for, find out what their benefits are, and so this is going to help with that, either way. But it's just insane. And I also remember from all my years of studying cannabis, I was always under the impression that there's about 550 or so isolates or whatever in it. Now, this article says there's 750. Now, would it surprise me that we've gained a couple hundred over the last 20, 30 years? No,
Yeah.
it would not. Where they're still genetically breaking it down, so to speak, to everything that's in it. Um, and the fact that we're finding more things does not surprise me. So that's why you cannot replicate it synthetically. Uh, Isaiah Thomas, I've talked about him, Detroit Piston. Um, he is continuing to build his hemp composite business. I know that I've talked about on the show before that he's in South America, and they were looking to do mainly automotive components. Now they're expanding that into packaging, and so he's partnering with a billionaire, and um, this guy owns a NFL team, big, obviously huge money, billionaire.
Yeah.
You don't have to say that twice, but they're kind of expanding into the packaging industry, which again, freaking genius, man. Isaiah, I hated you as a basketball player, and you were great. Don't get me wrong, but I am loving you as a businessman. And so keep up the good work. They are going to start production of about 40,000 pounds a week, and they can ramp that up to 160,000 if they need to. So it's going to be real interesting actually to see what that product line is going to entail, what they're actually doing. I am almost positive they do have a contract already with at least one automotive maker to make something. And I don't know what that is. It could be anything from door panels to sunroof pieces to dashboard pieces, which are all the things that are currently being used in vehicles across the country. The Germans specifically love their hemp composites in their vehicles. And there have been a lot more that have added. Kia has added hemp composites to some of their vehicles, I believe. I'm just trying to think, I'm going back in my show memory just in the last 7 years. And let me be clear, when we opened Temptations 30 years ago, BMW and Mercedes-Benz were using hemp composites in their vehicle. It's not new to them. This has been going on since basically we've opened. We've been around. And then Lotus came along and made a eco-friendly car which had hemp in its frame. All of these have been shown on the show at some point or another. This I know as well. So, hemp in the automotive industry. This is a huge game. Isaiah is doing it right with his company, but there is huge room for everyone to make a move in the hemp composite, just in the automotive industry. And then don't even get me started on the packaging industry, which is really where I want you to go. Start with the packaging industry and then make a widget for the automotive. You can get a big contract to make a widget for an automotive, then that's great. But we need hemp packaging, even if it's composite based. what they call plastic, uh, because once again, biodegradable at the very least. Some of it, depending on what it's doing, could be compostable. If it's just one of these little stupid things that you're protecting something on the shelf from being stolen, which is like a colossal waste of plastic right now. Um, but if it's one of those things, then, if you make it compostable, biodegradable, throw it in the trash, send it to the landfill. It's going to disappear anyway. If you want to throw it in your compost pile, if it is, do that. If you want to bury it in your own backyard and let it degrade, do that. Um, it is the future in the way that it has to go that way, and it is going to go that way. How quickly is up to all of us, honestly. Support it, as I've always said. Support hemp in any form you can. Um, so So I've talked about the Sutter County ban in California for hemp. They've had two bans. I guess they were like 6-month bans. I guess just long enough to say you can't grow it, and then just long enough to say you can't harvest it if somehow you were growing it. I don't know. But apparently, and this is a big subject these days across the country, it's all about gerrymandering. So what they've done is now, okay, they've banned it twice, and while they banned it, they put they redrew the lines for where hemp farming is acceptable, and they made these buffer zones. And basically, what they're implying, and I do believe that someone is suing over this, is the fact that they made these buffer zones because the farmers next door didn't like it. The guy growing corn in California didn't want industrial hemp next to his fields. The guy growing soy, whatever it was. And so supposedly that's where all these buffer zones they go between these big, huge industrial farms and where you can grow hemp. Now, if you want to hear the most bizarre part of this story, and I know you do, I do know you do. Okay. So this is keeping a hemp farmer from growing on land that was leased by a county supervisor. I don't, and of course you're getting sued, like I said. It makes zero sense. Like what kind of it's not it can't even be a scam because the property is leased to grow hemp by a county supervisor. And I don't know if that means they own the land or that I don't think they're trying to farm on it. I think that they own the land and they leased it out to a hemp farmer. And now they've redrawn the lines in the county so that he cannot grow on it. I hope that gets him out of his lease. At the very least. Oh, man. I tell you, it's just weirdness. It's just weirdness. Makes zero sense. Zero sense. Again. Um, how about some hemp seed based green lubricant? And I believe when they say green, it's not necessarily green in color, it's actually environmentally friendly lubricant. And of course, it would be. So, they provided us with a little chart here of how it all works out. You grow the hemp, you make the green lubricant, you add the green lubricant, and then you use it. And it's actually been made, as you can see here. So it has a thermal stability of up to 230 degrees, if you're curious, achieving the lowest coefficient of friction and superior wear resistance for any biolubricant. Just so you know, right out of the gate. Of course, it has excellent biodegradability. Why wouldn't it? And non toxicity. So it's non toxic as well. And then it says it matched synthetic oil in ISF performance. Again, don't know what that means, but it sounds pretty good. Okay. And so, here's yet another use for the seed oil. Now, of course, my first use for seed oil is always for food. All right. And then after food, I would actually say fuel, because you can pour hemp seed in certain diesel engines without any conversion, and they will run on them. I believe they're older diesel engines, not newer ones, but I haven't checked on that recently. All right. Now, using it as a lubricant, I'm going to add that to the list. Um, to me, and again, hemp is not really sticky, but it's kind of I don't know. The fact that they're doing it doesn't surprise me, but kind of surprises me. It's fatty, and so, but being able to um, make any, now now when I'm going to go put some hemp oil on my chain for my 4-wheeler or something, just see how that works out. It's not going to do it any harm. I would almost be scared that it would spark and set it on fire, because that's the real issue. Is hemp oil has a very low flash point, which is what makes it great for a biofuel, because you want that low flash point to make the combustion, to get the combustion engine to do what it's supposed to do. That's the whole purpose of it all. And so that's why hemp oil is such a great biofuel, because it has such a low flash point. That is also why it is a terrible cooking oil. You don't want to fry with it. You don't want to get it too hot because of its flash point. um, and so it is, highly flammable, as I have shown on the show with my oil burning lamp that I inherited from my grandmother. That I proceeded to fill up with the same hemp oil that I eat with, or add to foods, or make foods with, absorbed through the wick, and it lit right up. And this is why we know that. So, being able to add green lubricant, to the list of seed oil, um, just adds for the reason why we need to be growing a lot more grain in the United States. Um, so according to Global Market Insights, the global hempcrete market in 2024 was worth $570 million. Um, next week, here's your reason to come back next week. I am going to break down. I'm going to go through every aspect of the hempcrete industry, and lay it all out there, for you. And again, it's incredibly deep now, and still 100% underused. So, and again, they're saying 10 years from now it's going to be $1 billion industry. And this I do not doubt. I don't know how quickly, but I think exponentially speaking, we could get to it being $1 billion industry, um, even in the next 5 years, possibly, because its growth in the last 10 years on it has been incredible. Incredible. I'll maybe do some research. I don't even know if the numbers will be out there to be found. I feel like maybe I might be able to find out what the global hempcrete market was, in 2015, and just compare those numbers to what we have now, and see. And I'm sure they're basing that $1 billion number probably on, how much it's grown. That's supposed to be what they do. So I hope that, you anyway. So I'm not I am a fact checker. I don't know what I was going to say. I wasn't. Um, I want to say congratulations to X Hemp in Tasmania. They started in 2013, so they've been in business for 12 years. It's the only 100% female owned fiber processing plant in the world. All right. Yet another challenge. Come on, ladies in America. I want the women, the hemp women, to stand up. You know, cannabis, and I don't care what industry you're in, cannabis is one of the only industries, and of course, it is still very male, white dominated, but it is very much, no matter what part of the cannabis industry you want to get in, and I would say hemp specifically, we're seeing a lot more women-owned companies, black-owned companies. It is probably one of the only industries that still has so much. And I know diversity is a terrible idea right now, according to our federal government, but it is one of the most potentially um, availability to accept diversity in the industry because it's so new. All of this is so new. And so I truly believe that this gives all the minorities an advantage to be successful in this industry. Because once again, there's any aspect of it that you can go into. There's so many different ways. Um, and we're seeing a lot more on the marijuana side of things with that. But, with hemp itself, thousands of potential industries that you could pick. Do I want to make paper? Do I want to make clothing? Do I want to make oil? Do I want to make food? Do I want to make drinks? Do I want to make this? Do I want to make that? Plastics, composites. I mean, there's just so many things you can choose from. And because, honestly, the competition is so little out there. I mean, especially when it comes to large scale clothing materials. Um, you know, uh, the food industry. Insane. Paper, like I said. I mean, you figure out how to make 100% hemp paper, um, 8 by 11.5 and big rolls and all that. You'll be doing something. Greenfield's making hemp paper, but it's 25% hemp, 75% recycled, which is great. And I think that's a great start. 50% hemp paper, you know. And again, I like if you're not going to make it 100%, then the recycled is great. You're using all that old wood pulp paper to make new paper. It's going to be better paper. Even that 25% hemp paper that I have, and I can tell you, I've done a rain test. All right, because we had like spelled out these uh, Hemptations USS on my pontoon boat that we put into as a float. I'll talk about that in a little while. You will get to see that in a little while. And the hemp paper got rained on, and there was some regular paper or something. And you couldn't read the regular paper, but the hemp paper was still in decent shape, and you can actually still read the print. So again, it's just whatever. There's so many industries to get into, and this is good for these ladies in Tasmania. That part of the world is really accepting hemp for all its purposes. Um, and a new study says that women with Alzheimer's have lower omega 3. Well, guess what has a decent amount of omega 3? Hemp seed. Yet another reason. So we're hearing magnesium is something you need later in life, beneficial. And we've always heard omega 6 and omega 3 essential fatty acids were beneficial for latter parts of life. Obviously, both of those are hemp contains them in the perfect omega 6 and omega 3 perfect ratio, from what I've heard. Um, and and so you know, get your omega 3, get it with hemp. It's the food source is one of the best things, and I do think that the older you are in life, the more beneficial you get out of a spoonful of hemp oil or a couple spoonfuls of hemp seed a day. Just that in a day, protein, all that. It's a great way to get the day started because of its nutritional value and that protein that makes you feel full longer. Uh, so here's crazy. So Suntory in Japan, which is supposed to be like one of the largest spirits drink business. When I say spirits, I believe alcohol. Their CEO resigned because he was using CBD for what he said is like to recover from jet lag because he traveled a lot. CBD, and he resigned. And of course, he says, "Hey, it's honestly, I really shouldn't have had to resign because I wasn't doing anything wrong. This doesn't affect my behavior in any way. Blah blah blah." But this guy was like, he was way up there in a huge company, forced to resign, most more than likely because of his CBD use. I was like, man, it was the one thing that was probably helping him as a CEO.
Wow.
I It's just again, we still have a lot of a lot of room to grow in the world. I mean, not that we don't have still a lot of room to grow here in the United States, but we have a lot. There's still, hemp and those things have a lot to grow. Anyway, um, all right. So here's the information for the hemp maze in Minnesota, which is now open, and now has a 15-hole Canna-Disc golf course. All right, how cool is that? I sent this to my son because he is like competition level. He takes his disc golf super super serious, and he's super good. We go out and play. Yes, I have a set of hemp composite disc golf, golf discs, disc golf, don't matter. However that goes. Anyway, so if you're gonna get out to Minnesota, then you want to get out to this to the maze, and if you're a disc golfer, then shoot around a 15. I'm surprised I would have called it 14.2. Not that it would have made any sense, but yeah, hemp. It's hemp. It's all hemp. Um, all right. September 16th through the 18th, you have Cornell University having a hemp building workshop at the Agrotech building in Geneva, New York. September 18th through the 20th, you have the Rocky Mountain Natural Building Conference in Bozeman, Montana. The other big event in Minnesota, again, you have to find out exactly, and I haven't really done the directions yet to find out how far they are from each other. But October 3rd through the 5th, you have the Hemp Building Symposium at the Lower Sioux Indian Community. And again, I cannot recommend, the hemp maze is the icing on top of the super hemp cake that this building symposium is going to be. Again, I would recommend, and your time is getting limited to, you don't have much more time to plan this out, about a month. Get your tickets if you want to go. But this is going to be, um, I'll predict it's going to be the biggest hemp building event of the year. With the names that I have seen that are speaking and giving their advice and knowledge on hemp building. The fact that the Lower Sioux are growing, processing, and building all three is phenomenal. And so, once again, you got a month. I cannot impress more. If you want to learn about hemp building, this is the event to go to. And then October 10th through the 12th, you have the Hemp Renaissance, rebuilding Main Street in Princeton, Illinois. I don't know. I found it. It's there. I don't know what it even means. All right. So there you go with that part of the High Noon Hemp Show. Now, I promised that my thoughts this week will be just a little quick synopsis of Hemptations in the High Noon Hemp Show, basically, because we're celebrating both anniversaries: 30 years with Hemptations, 7 years with the High Noon Hemp Show that you are watching right now, making history. It was the spring of '95 that my original partner, we were sitting on a couch. It was late at night, and my original partner said, "I want to start a business." And I, without hesitation, I got up and I said, "I want to sell hemp goods." And I went and grabbed my copy of The Emperor Wears No Clothes. And in the back, there were, a handful maybe of hemp businesses. Probably the Mary Hempsters, the Ohio Hempery possibly could have been in there. And so that's where the idea of a hemp store / smoke shop came. That was my input. She was more on, I think, the smoke shop idea, and I was 100% on with the hemp, without hesitation. And so that's where the business was born. I will never forget, we were traveling up the highway. We had just passed the Smith Edwards exit, and I said, "Hemptations." Maybe I thought it. Maybe I said it. I don't know. And then I said it again. Hemptations. Hemptations. Having hemptations. Hemptations. And that was that. I knew instantly that was going to be the name. And having hemptations is how, it's kind of the tagline. It's always been kind of the tagline. I have closed every single radio commercial, every single TV commercial, and every episode of the High Noon Hemp Show with the words, "having hemptations."
That's right.
I guess it's a question. It is a question. And so uh, that's how the name was born. For the record, within the first year or two, we were voted best store name in the city. It was a Friday. We have now been, open at least 10,420 days. And that's actually being about 400 days moderate, because I did the math. But to be safe, because we haven't closed. We've been open 7 days a week since we opened. And, we only close Thanksgiving, Christmas. Periodically we've been closed on a Monday holiday. Periodically we may have been closed just because, whatever. But for the most part, it's been 7 days a week for 30 years. 30 years. We've gone through everything. Shortly after we opened, some government officials illegally searched our apartment. We had I swear because I have a table, antique table that has hemp leaves on it, and it's been like glazed over. I swear they tried to pick out some of that hemp leaf to test it to see if it had THC in it.
Yeah.
Theory. Over the years, like I said, we've been voted best store name, best use for grass, best smoke shop, best CBD store, and my all time favorite best green sustainable store. And again, these were all voted on. So um, I think that I think I sent did I sent the file over with the pictures.
Mhm.
We just kind of go through like here's the this was an artist rendition of me, and we had this stuff on. We actually put that on T-shirts and whatever, Um, either way, um, and so I think one of the neatest things was, and I think we have the picture of me and Tommy Chong hanging out, and there it is. This is in the store in Kettering. So we had a store in the Kettering Mall, and we had Tommy, and he came and hung out. And I still have this poster or sign. It actually became my secret door in O'Brienville, and now it could possibly become another kind of secret door in our flower factory. We were inside the flower factory now, and so I still have it. Um, and hanging out with Tommy was, of course, a great time. That was, probably he's probably the most famous person I'm guessing that I actually hung out with over the last 30 years. Um, Either way, and I've hung out with some famous people, but again, I mean, he's Tommy Chong. um, let's see. What's the next picture? Actually, I'm gonna like some of these I don't remember.
You.
Oh, this is me. I am. If you go and you watch the Hemp Road Trip, I was a part of the Hemp Road Trip for 10 days, and so that was a great time. We actually, it ended with us going to Senator Grassley's office in Iowa. I took place in actual a water protection. I went and hung out with the water protection group of indigenous people. That was a super neat 10 days of traveling. On a side note, I got some of the best gas mileage out of any of the drivers on the Hemp Road Trip ever. Just, I'm just saying. It's not bragging. I'm just saying. Um, I do believe that Hemptations was the first to sell hemp food in the greater high state area. Um, I'm pretty sure that we were the first to sell art glass. The 80s pretty much wiped out the glass market in Cincinnati. They were very conservative, and if it was a glass pipe, it was a crack pipe. Um, and so, what was funny is, we brought in the art glass, and that was like one of my jokes was, well, if any crackhead comes in here and spends $30 on a oney to smoke his crack out of, then okay, it's a crack pipe. But that wasn't going to happen. And so, we really kind of brought back, and we, really, we're one of the first. No, I shouldn't say one of the first. The Cupboard was the first smoke shop. We had High on the Hill here when we opened up, and again, we weren't opening up because of them. And we did not want to be competition with them. And I have never wanted to be in competition with anyone. I'm I'm a moving forward person. All right. If I'm paying attention to my competition, to me, that's moving backwards in my business. And I'm never going to do that. I don't care what the competition is doing. I want my business to succeed on my merits, and I every day have to figure out how to do that. I have to say, if we close tomorrow, I think that being open for 30 years is a testament to, once again, me not paying attention to anything the competition was doing. Because to be honest with you, the competition at some point existed because of us. They became our competition because they wanted it. I mean, I don't know how many times over the, I'm going to open up a store and I'm going to put Temptations out of business. I'm like, well, that's the wrong attitude, for one thing. Why would you open up a store thinking your job was to put another business out of business, not to make your business successful? Here's some business advice. That's a terrible idea. Okay. Um, I am what they call, I suppose, a visionary. Um, you know, uh, and always true to the ideology of why we called the store Hemptations. And it was because we needed to bring back hemp farming to this country. At the very least, we needed to support the hemp industry for all that it could do for humanity, for that matter, and the planet. Um, and again, I hate calling it eco-friendly because then some people get turned off. But it is the most eco-friendly plant on the planet. And like I've said a lot of times here on the show, I will debate anyone. You bring your plant to me, and we will debate whether your plant is better for humanity and the planet than my plant, hemp. And there's no competing. There's no competing. And I don't care how much of an expert you are on your plant. There's no way your plant does what my plant does. And that's all of our plants. That's hemp. And it should be grown everywhere and do everything. That was my attitude then. And again, it was more, honestly, the fiber aspect and the paper aspect. I wanted the return of hemp clothing, hemp fiber. The hemp food industry didn't even exist in the United States. I mean, it was like beginning as we were beginning. Hemp nut, um, one of the first and easily recognized as the first in the United States, Richard Rose. Um, and we were selling hemp nut out of the jars, and I still have my hemp nut jar from back then. But that was it. And then all of a sudden, some roasted hemp seed started coming along. And then we started seeing, hemp butter and hemp this and hemp that in foods, very small scale, all the way up to, eventually seeing hemp chips in Whole Foods and all those things. I'll get to that in a minute well, you know, I was a member of the HIA, which had to sue the DEA because the DEA was going to take all the food products off the shelves because we couldn't put 0%. I mean, there's always trace amounts of anything. Okay. So we sued DEA, one, which created the source code. And this was 2004, I believe, created the source code, which said if it comes from hemp, it's a hemp product. If it comes from marijuana, it's a marijuana product. Hemp is 100% legal. Marijuana is not. This law allowed me to import CBD from China. Don't cringe too hard. 17 years ago, 2008-ish, probably is when we started selling our first CBD products. 2010, I'd say at the latest, I was selling CBD before it was legal here in the United States. That's for sure. So we were definitely the first in Cincinnati to sell CBD. We might have been one of the first in the whole dang country to sell CBD, to be honest with you. Now, I'm sure that California was probably, a big seller of CBD back then, even one way or another. We're definitely the first to sell hemp composite, the hemp plastic containers and things like that. Nobody else in Cincinnati was selling anything like it at the time, and probably hardly selling anything like it now. So it goes, just so everybody knows, it kind of goes like this. We were actually in Mount Lookout for about 9 months. And then we moved the store to O'Brienville. Of course, we were in O'Brienville forever. And then we opened the Oxford store on the second floor of the coffee shop that was right around the corner from us in Clifton from the smoke store, because the smoke store was ours as well. We started the smoke store. One time we had the largest walk-in humidor in the city. That's when cigars were huge. And again, we were a smoke store. We were all smoke. We had a wall full of water pipes and a humidor full of cigars. And we were also the first in the city to sell cigarettes singly. And it could have been us that caused the federal ban on selling individual cigarettes. All right. And this goes back to something Bill Clinton said right after he left Cincinnati. And these were his words exactly in front of national TV. He said, I just left a town that has a store that's selling cigarettes singly. What's crazy is I was in Idaho watching the news when I saw it. And I was like, I think he just mentioned the smoke store. No, it's not. I'm not making any of this up. I'm not trying to be cool. And then shortly after that, again, it was probably 6 months or so, because it became a super trend. Like all of a sudden, all the bars had single cigarette machines. It was crazy. It was crazy. And then then probably a year later, the federal government banned the single selling of cigarettes. Crazy. We were out in Amelia for a while. The store in Amelia was in a barn. I didn't even have a bathroom. I didn't go around back. The coolest thing about that is we had a huge blacklight room. This huge room that had blacklight posters in it, and it was fun. And then we did that in Oxford. We ended up putting some blacklight rooms in Oxford, which was pretty cool too. For a while there, and then we opened the Kettering Mall store where Tommy came and hung out. And then we split everything up. And so we split everything up. I got the O'Brienville store and the Oxford store. And then I closed the Oxford store. And that was all right around 2008, where that was kind of the economic. It was just the way it was. Shortly before that, just so you know, it was 2 days after the 4th of July, 765, in the year 2005, some yahoos tried to burn down the Hemptation store in Oxford. So on the video, you see them. One person goes up and throws like a brick or something, rock through the window. And then the other one goes and throws a bunch of fireworks into the store.
Wow.
Luckily, shortly after, the police department, again, Oxford's not very big, and so he's cruising down Main Street, High Street, and sees the smoke and is able to actually pretty much put it out with his fire extinguisher that he had in his car.
Wow.
It was crazy. It was, I mean, did a decent amount of damage. Not a whole lot, but a decent amount of damage. But that was probably the most insane thing. I was like, literally, it's just nuts.
They ever catch them?
I don't think they ever did catch them. They never, if they did, and this is something that I think the police are really terrible about doing, even if they did catch them, they never contacted me to tell me.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, honestly. I want to say no, as far as I know. I mean, we were there at least a couple more years after that. Anyway, crazy. That's crazy.
Wow.
And then I opened Sharonville 2011-ish. And then we actually had a little store in Clifton for a minute, and that was a nightmare. I just don't even want to remember that store at all. What a nightmare that was. And then we moved to Northside, and I loved that Northside store. And then we opened in Dayton, had another store in Dayton for a little while. And then just recently, the last two or 3 years, I closed O'Brienville, closed Sharonville, only in Northside, and then we moved down to Elmwood Place for a couple months, and now we're back in Northside, inside the flower factory at 3844. Um, I've been fortunate enough to share a stage with Gatewood Galbraith, who's definitely a hero of mine in the hemp world. Um, Without a doubt, learn his story. Uh, Famous people, we've had Weird Al, Phil Lesh, Sarah McLachlan. Um, when Wiz Khalifa was in town, he sent his entire posse, and I'm not kidding you, his posse came in, including his girlfriend at the time, and bought $400 worth of rolling papers. Now, the funniest thing about this is he was endorsing one brand, but he was smoking a different brand. And I'm not gonna tell you what was going on there. But yeah, in professional athletes, decent amount of Bengals. Um, um, I don't know about Reds players, but I don't. There could have been some that came in, and I just honestly didn't even recognize them. It's very possible. Now I did know that when the Florida Marlins would come to town, they had more than one player that would take a taxi from the stadium to the store. And so, and I will. I'm not going to mention any. I don't need to mention any names. I'm not. Hey, I'm not lying about any of this. I have no reason to. I'm normally very humble. In fact, talking about a lot of this stuff is not natural to me. I mean, I could run around all the time bragging about all the stuff that I've been lucky enough to be a part of, and all those things. But this is just the history of Temptations. That's all I'm doing here. Telling you basically the history of Temptations, and I'm leaving out a lot. Trust me. After the show, we're like, man, I should have told him about this, or man, I forgot to tell him about that. Uh, Either way, local famous musicians that have worked for me. So my favorite, and again, probably one of my all-time favorite employees, period, because we were really good friends. While he was employed with me and after he was employed with me, um, is Jason Hounshell. And Jason Hounshell was a founding member of the group Moth, and I See Sound is an unbelievably great song. But then he also he was a bass player for them. And then he became the drummer for a punk band called The Virgins when punk was hot in Cincinnati. Then you have Bob Gale, who was a secondary member, like coming in. He might have even replaced, I can't remember now. No, he was a guitarist, and Jason was a bass player in Moth. But Bob came into Moth after Jason left. Um, and he worked for us for years. And then Bill from the Ass Ponies, again, another unbelievably good band. And I can't just for their name alone believe that they didn't keep more no. And they are apparently the Ass Ponies are still a band. They've had a lot of members since. Either way, and apparently Moth actually is still a band, but I've never seen Moth or the Ass Ponies doing a show in Cincinnati, which I don't. I mean, I would have thought that. I usually know about these things. Either way, and so and then the Racketeers, Jack White's band. So the Greenhorns drummer became the Racketeers drummer, and he used to come and sit on the steps with Jason on a semi-regular basis. So I would see the drummer from the Racketeers on a semi-regular basis, and the Greenhorns once again. Greenhorns were probably they're on that short list. Well, not a short list because honestly, we've had a lot of really good music in Cincinnati. We're really kind of fortunate. I don't think a lot of people actually know how fortunate we are with the music scene that we have in Cincinnati. But the Greenhorns were, back in their day. Definitely one of those bands you wanted to go see. And so, and then of course, the Rumpke Mountain Boys and all those dudes, you used to come in the store when Garrett worked for me. Um, you know, Garrett was my employee who was the most famous. I'll call him the most famous hippie in Cincinnati. He was definitely the most famous hippie in Cincinnati for a while, I think, honestly. And I think that, working in Temptations, um, helped with that. Either way, another one of my, really favorite, honestly, employees. I've had so many. Zach, you know, I loved Zach was one of my kids, honestly. So uh, that's the famous people part of the segment. Um, we vended at Bunbury, we vended at EBN Fireworks. I thought I was going to shoot that picture over, and I forgot. We vended at Earth Day for quite a bit of years. I forget what other pictures I sent over. We could run through them. This is a very early article from City Beat. My little baby face, but wearing a Merry Hempsters shirt there. Um, Here is me standing in one of the first federally recognized hemp fields in Kentucky. That's a hemp shock, what we call a hemp shock over there, which is how you ret the plants. So you overwinter them, you ret them by leaving them in the shock over winter to get so they're easier to break down. Is that it? Do we have more? Oh,
Yep.
here, I've been promising this picture for I don't know how long. But this is me sitting on the hemp composite bicycle that was made in the Ukraine. And this is at NOCO, one of the first NOCOs. Uh, so there it is, finally, the hemp bicycle.
That's right.
That is Snodgrass, the gentleman there standing beside me, who is the most prominent, biggest name in art class in the history of art class. Snodgrass started it all. And I don't know, I don't want to say he started it all, but he is the most famous glass blower in the history of functional art glass. Um, and that was downtown. That's Cheryl Schumann, who, when I was working with the Ohio Rights Group, we brought her in to kind of go around the state and promote the Ohio Rights Group movement, working on getting signatures. For the record, we got the most amount of signatures non-funded, more or less, what we would call non-funded, not big money, than any other constitutional amendment in the history of Ohio. And of course, we still did not get enough to get it on the ballot.
Yeah.
And that was a therapeutic cannabis and industrial hemp, so two different clauses
Yeah.
there. And so,
Fun fact: I was actually at that rally. I have people go back to my YouTube channel. They can see your speech, Cheryl's speech, a bunch of other speeches are on there from it's like 2013, I believe.
that's right. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot about that. I need to get that footage of me doing that. And I know I got cut off early because they were mismanaging their time, so I didn't get my whole speech in there. But anyway, um, this is the hemp road trip. This is when I joined them, standing out in front with the hemp American flag. And again, the hemp road trip was we grilled out um, hemp burgers and I believe hemp dogs. When on the day that I joined the hemp road trip for my 10-day tour. And that was, we were down in Kentucky and Lexington and around in Kentucky. And then we went up to Chicago and then over to Iowa. And I know we stopped in Springfield, capital, Illinois. Trying to think. I think I have to go back and retain my memory. Um, but yeah, that was a great 10 days of hemp traveling, no doubt about it. There's the float. There's the USS Hemptations. And again, we've been in the Northside Independence Day Parade, and this was actually, I believe, the Norwood um, Days Parade. It was usually in the fall, but again, wasn't a huge parade, but they really loved us.
Yeah.
Uh, supporting the cause there. That's my parade outfit. That made the papers,
Mhm.
actually. Um, so yeah, that's the fun stuff. This is us in Washington. I think this was early 2019, right after the 2018. That's it. That's me and Mary celebrating the taking of industrial hemp off the controlled substance list, is what the 2018 Farm Bill did. So 2013 Farm Bill made hemp legal to grow. 2018 took it off the controlled substance list, which changed everything for the industry. And so, and just so you know, our room in Washington while we were there actually had some hemp pottery art on the shelves. It was pretty neat because we stayed at an eco-friendly hotel,
Yeah.
and so that was pretty neat. This is my table that I've set up to educate. I don't countless times over the 30 years. Kind of and it shows hemp in every form that you can have it, basically. And so somewhere I think I still have that stuff. I can't. I think I still have that stuff. Yeah, it's got to be somewhere. I think it's in the trailer. I still have most of that stuff. Um, Either way, this is 7 years or so probably ago. The original studios, the original High Noon Hemp Show studio. Um, and there's a game I've yet to send around, but maybe we'll start because I need to check myself somehow. And that would be how many hemp products, how many hemp things are in this photo.
Wow. Yeah. That's a lot.
It's a lot, you know. It's probably another record. Most amount of hemp things in one photo. And I wasn't even trying,
Yeah.
by the way. Again, I made no effort. Was just collectively what this was my office in Sharonville, which became the original Planet Everywhere studios for the High Noon Hemp Show. Um, and so uh, there you have it. Here I am on just one of the many panels this was somewhere in northern Ohio. Um, I really wish I had a picture of me, my head to toe in this outfit. It was very debonair, even with my trucker cap. Once again, I'm very much a hat person. I very much wear a hat almost all the time. And so I had to figure out how to look, and I really think I pulled it off with my hemp vest and my nice shirt. You can't see my shoes, but they're hemp and they kind of look like old school. I don't know how to describe them. I forget what it was called, but it's good stuff. Good stuff. And then here I am on a billboard. Yes, my face has been on a billboard. Temptations had a billboard. And these moved around town. Now, what I will say, and I think, no, this might be the one. Well, we actually made a billboard with a photo that then because there was a photo from the City Beat where I learned that he who takes the photo owns the picture, not the person that the picture is of. And so we actually got a cease and desist from using this photo, and we actually had to make a whole new billboard. Like I had to go and kind of replicate. I think this might be the replication I can't tell for sure because I think this might have been the one I replicated, not the one that was from. But I went basically tried to replicate the exact same image that I used, but took the picture myself, so I owned it.
Right.
And I have that billboard somewhere. I actually have that rolled up. It's amazing how small a billboard rolls up into. But somewhere actually, I think I have the one we got a cease and desist on because they gave it to me because I paid for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you have it, folks. Thanks everybody. I knew it was going to be a long one. We almost made it 2 hours. This might have been one of the longest shows ever, which is what happens when we start doing a regular show and then talk about 30 years of Hemptations and 7 years of the High Noon Hemp Show. I really never even got into the High Noon Hemp Show because again, we're talking 313 different outfits. A cumulative, if and again, there has been some doubling up. Don't get me wrong, but we've shown over 1,000 products for the product spotlight. With a little bit of doubling up, but not a whole lot. I would roughly say I've shown at least, let's say, 270 different personal items during the product spotlight. And again, countless pictures of hemp construction, hemp products, hemp clothing. I can't even imagine if someone's job was to go back through and watch all the shows. And I have all the scripts, so I could actually just conceivably just go through the scripts and make it a lot easier. And count how many hemp products I've talked about, how many hemp buildings I've shown. Um, Again, to me, it's almost, even if it was 5 a day, that's 1,500 at the very least. 5 an episode. And maybe not even 5 an episode. It's a lot of hemp. It's a lot of hemp. And we sure appreciate everybody out there that has watched the High Noon Hemp Show. I miss my cousin Carrie, who was our top fan for at least a year and a half, 2 years before she passed away. Uh, again, our greatest viewer, without a doubt. Now I think my top fan is, I'm going to predict that my top fan is Bonnie Rabin, who does the medical marijuana meetups, and also teaches the marijuana class at UC. But she's my biggest supporter probably now, and still one of the reasons I go to the medical marijuana meetups, which just happened to be last night. It was a small event last night, but it was beautiful out. I cannot believe there were more people there, honestly. Next first Tuesday of the month, folks, medical marijuana meetup. So there you have it. Again, thanks to everybody over the years that has watched the show. And if you're watching live, thank you for being here today. If you're watching later, thanks for watching. Rate us, like us, support us, share us with all your friends. If anybody in the world wants to learn about hemp, this is the place you want to direct them. Again, as a humble person, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging. But I also believe that in the last 35 years, I have become one of the single most educated experts on all things hemp.
I would say so.
If you want to challenge me, you can. I don't know why you would, because I'd rather just join you in the fight. Because I want everyone to learn about hemp. I want everyone. I want you to come to Hemptations and buy hemp goods, but I want you to go anywhere in the world.com or your local hemp store if you have one and support them. And the more we do, the more we will have. The more we have, the better the planet is, the better we are. And that's pretty much it.
That's right.
That's been my whole goal. My evil goal is to make the planet a much better place via hemp. And so far, I think it's working. Anyway, thanks again, everybody. And remember, reduce, reuse, recycle. Make everything else out of hemp. Having temptations.
See you all next week.